Hey everybody, welcome back to C.Dat.Guy Review Movies. My name is Christian, and I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly on the release the Snyder Cut train, but I wasn't against it either. I was just a bystander paying attention to movie news and seeing what would happen. At first, I didn't think it would happen because it's not really that common for a movie to be recut if it didn't meet expectations. Sure, there are exceptions like the Donner cut of Superman and the three versions of Blade Runner, but this still was something rare, unless your name is Zack Snyder. This happened with Watchmen and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Both times, the director's cut was heavily favored over the theatrical cut, and what felt like maybe campaigning for the last 3 to 4 years, this campaign has finally come to fruition. But did this follow the trend, or was it still unnecessary? Let's find out today as I review Zack Snyder's Justice League. Just as a heads up, there will be spoilers in this review, so if you don't want to get spoiled, go ahead and watch it before you come back to this video. Otherwise, if you don't care, well then, let's go. The story is essentially the same at its core as the original 2017 version. With Superman's death and Batman vs. Superman, the world is now open to any alien threats. Bruce Wayne, knowing this, is forming a team of metahumans along with Diana Prince. However, Superman's death has also awakened the Mother Boxes, which is technology used to create or destroy at the will of their user. Steppenwolf has come to Earth to gather the boxes and form the Unity for his master Darkseid. It's up to the Justice League to prevent this from happening and instead use the boxes to resurrect Superman, stop Steppenwolf, and save the world. I did rewatch the original Justice League the night before the Snyder Cut was released because I haven't seen that movie since it was released in 2017, and so that I could keep notes of the similarities and differences. And this is what I got. The first big positive was fleshing out his characters. We got a scene that was previously cut with Barry trying to get a job as a dog walker and saving Iris West from a car accident. This is later referenced in a conversation with his father when he mentioned that you're on 3 dead-end jobs, now 4. So now this conversation actually has context. And this scene also allowed us to see his character rather than to tell what his character is all about. Also, we get to see how powerful he truly is when he uses the Speed Force to turn back time, and yeah, that scene is pretty crazy. With Arthur, we saw a little more of his relationship with the people he helps in the north, as well as more interaction with Mara and Volko. Since this was still technically before Aquaman got his own movie, there are still some continuity errors like Mara mentioning her parents are dead, Mara for some reason having a British accent now instead of an American one, and Arthur still being bitter about his mother. But these scenes really show how he was not into being a team player and caring more about himself. This made his change of heart later more believable. Regarding Cyborg, we pretty much got everything with his backstory and character development. We see Victor as a college kid playing football, what his relationship with his parents were like, and the accident that forced his father to save him from death. And in the original cut, it kind of made him feel like a knockoff Iron Man War Machine, but these scenes really establish how powerful he is and why he's important to the team. And it's a shame that these were cut because it really made the story feel like he is the central character, more than Batman, more than Wonder Woman, or even more than Superman. Wonder Woman got a little more screen time as well, as she got to have a little side adventure when she is trying to figure out how the mother boxes work, and her introduction at the bank robbery shows her fighting skills a little bit better, as well as an actual end to that sequence when she brings her gauntlets together rather than cutting to whatever Joss Whedon did. But what I really appreciated was that there were more interactions within the league itself. They cared more about each other, they bounced ideas off of each other, and it made them feel more like a team rather than a group of soldiers or metahumans led by Batman. The other big positive was a well-paced and fully detailed story, and part of that was giving the villain more character. In Whedon's version, I kind of felt like Steppenwolf was just kind of there to serve the purpose of the big bad villain. You don't really know much about him or don't really care, you just know that they'll beat him in the end. In this version, he had a better motivation of retrieving the mother boxes, and even his redesign made him look more of a threat. The Amazons and the Atlanteans had more screen time, but even with their best efforts, Steppenwolf was still powerful. Sure, he still takes the heavy hits from the Justice League, but he still manages to overpower them. And also, part of that motivation is that he is now the servant of the even bigger villain, Darkseid, and the relationship between them reminds me of how Loki and Thanos first interacted in the Avengers movie. Once again, the story is the same, but the way they go about it is different. Scenes from the previous cut have either been recontextualized, had different dialogue, or completely removed whatever Whedon did, but still kept the story intact. Instead of Steppenwolf fighting the flashback, we have Darkseid fighting the flashback. When Diana and Cyborg meet for the first time, they have a slightly different tone. Instead of the opening scene with a kid recording Superman with his awkward mouth, we see how Superman's death actually triggered the mother boxes. With these changes and additions, I felt the movie was more coherent and easier to follow. It also replaced Whedon's lighter humor and brighter color palette with Snyder's usual DC tone and darker colors. I honestly don't have an issue with either one, but I just know that this one made it more consistent with Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. As for my criticisms, you may agree or disagree based on how you like your superhero movies. I've learned to like Snyder for his storytelling and admit that he has a visual eye when it comes to his action sequences, which are far better this time around. And there's also some blood thrown into the mix, which I was actually indifferent about. However, I still didn't like his excessive use of slow motion. Just because it works in 300 doesn't mean you need to put it in everything. I mean, it's supposed to be used for important moments, especially anything involving Flash, Diana, or Superman, but it did not need to be used in every action scene. I've always joked that if you would just play all the slow-mo scenes in real time, you would probably cut the movie by 30 minutes, which leads me to my next point. When I first heard it was 4 hours, I'm like, okay, that's too long. Then I heard it was supposed to be broken up into like its own miniseries, then I'm like, okay, that could work. But then Snyder said like, no, it's going to be a 4-hour movie, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'll just have to go through it. But when I heard it was broken up into chapters and only available on HBO Max, and then I was like, okay, I think that could work. There are 6 chapters and an epilogue, and I only had to pause the movie once after chapter 3 to take a pee break. Other than that, it did not feel like 4 hours. However, I think there were some scenes that didn't really contribute to the main story and could be left out. And let's just say, if there were ever to be a theatrical release of the Snyder Cut, you could easily cut this movie down to 3.5 hours, maybe even 3. Also, because all of Whedon's shots were out, some moments I liked from the original were gone. For example, there is a moment between Batman and Flash before they fight Steppenwolf for the first time. Flash says he's nervous because he's never fought anything before, and Batman just tells him to focus on saving the people. Yeah, that moment's gone. In the original, there is a conversation between Lois Lane and Martha Kent about how they're adjusting to life without Clark, and I think it's a nice moment between them. In the Snyder Cut, this conversation is moved to about after the halfway point, and I thought it was a nice moment between them again until it's revealed that Martha Kent is actually Martian Manhunter in disguise. Apparently he was always General Swanwick, who interacted with Lois in Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, and I like Martian Manhunter. I think he's a cool character, but I don't think this was the proper way to introduce him. I would have liked it better if the ending scene with Batman was his proper introduction. As for the nightmare ending, I have mixed feelings about it. It's a major part of the epilogue, and I liked it for what it was doing, and I understand it was added to set up Zack Snyder's other Justice League movies down the line, but I don't think it was needed. It did give a second chance for Jared Leto's Joker, which didn't really improve or take away from how I feel about his performance in Suicide Squad, but I think this would have been better as like an opening scene for the next Justice League movie. Lastly, I noticed the music. There's a specific song that was used whenever Wonder Woman was doing an epic slow-mo scene, and like the slow-mos themselves, this song did not need to be used whenever Diana did something. It got old fast. I'm also mixed on the score because I appreciated how Danny Elfman was able to use the old Batman and Superman themes, and also created a specific theme whenever Flash entered the Speed Force. Though all of that is gone, I really liked Junkie XL's new score, and it really matched Zack Snyder's epic hard-hitting style. Just in case anyone cared, I gave the original Justice League a 6 out of 10. I knew that Whedon was trying to make it more accessible for the casual moviegoer and a little lighter in tone, like what the MCU does, and I liked it for what it was because I was able to generally follow what was going on, but I didn't really care too much after watching it. As for the Snyder Cut, this was a huge improvement for both the characters and the story arc itself. It may not be perfect, but if this is what Zack Snyder's vision really was, then he is truly an interesting storyteller. 4 hours may seem like a long time, but I say just binge it as if it was a miniseries and take breaks when needed. So if you have the time, I say give it a shot. At least check out Superman with his black suit. I still think Wonder Woman is my favorite Worlds of DC movie, but this really shot up there above the rest of the franchise for me. So for all those reasons, I'm giving this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Alright, so there's my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comment section down below. And go ahead and give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I really don't care. But if you want to see more movie reviews from this guy, go ahead and click the subscribe button right up here. Or if you want to see one of my other movie reviews, go ahead and click the video right up here. Other than that, I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye, and be safe out there.